Well, now we move on to consider isolated queen's pawn positions, which are among the most common in chess. Isolated pawn positions in the centre can occur from a whole range of different openings, and so you must be prepared to meet them at any time. Now let's just consider, to start off with, a typical game featuring the isolated pawn, and then I'll try and simplify the rules for this type of position as we go along. It's an old game between Boris Spassky from his youth against a guy called Avtonomov, and it was played in the Leningrad Junior Championship all the way back in 1949. It is a perfect demonstration of White's possibilities in an IQP position. So the opening started life as a Queen's Gambit accepted. This is just one way to reach an IQP position, and White decided to play knight f3. Now White has quite a few moves in this position, but the reason he plays knight f3 is to restrain black from playing the free and break e5, which black could easily consider, for instance, after e4. Black can go e5. If white goes e3, again black can play e5 with a clear conscience. And the same is true after knight c3. Black can also play e5 here. So a lot of players have asked me, well, why does white play knight f3 in this position? That is the reason. Black plays knight f6, and the two players conveniently go into the main line after e3, e6. Again, a lot of weaker players ask, why doesn't black protect his pawn here with b5? Well, the truth of the matter is that just allows white to smash up the pawns here with a4, and if c6, we can just take that pawn and go b3. There's no real way for black to keep the pawn in the Queen's Gambit, and this just compromises his position. So black should settle for solid play, which he does here. e6, bishop takes c4, and now c5. The classic freeing break in the Queen's Gambit accepted. Black is challenging white's centre. So Spassky castles. Avtonomov plays a6. Well, with this move, black is thinking about b5. The bishop on c4 is exposed, so why not hit the bishop and gain a bit of time? Boris allows it. Botvinnik used to like playing a4 in this position, restraining black, but of course that does give black the use of the b4 square as the game progresses. It's a very committal move. Most masters just prefer queen e2. In fact, the modern move these days is just bishop b3, retaining all options. White may play with queen e2, he may play a4, he may just play knight c3. That is generally thought to be the way to give black most problems, but queen e2 is the old-fashioned way. Black takes his opportunity. The bishop drops back, and you might be forgiven for thinking that with black developing swiftly and gaining space on the queen side, he's got a reasonable position. Spassky moves forward. Black takes on d4. White plays rook d1. That's a key move here, not allowing black to win a pawn. Bishop b7, and here we are, e takes d4. So here we have an isolated queen's pawn position. Now the IQP, is it a weakness or a strength? Well, long term it's actually a weakness. So the guy playing against the isolated queen's pawn, in this case black, should be thinking about blockading it. And what that means is moving something in front of the isolated queen's pawn to stop it from coming forward. So that's why black plays the very logical move here, knight to b4. Black is also happy to exchange pieces in this position. After all, most endgames favour black in a typical IQP position. And that, I think, would be it. Effective development, blockading the pawn, aiming for exchanges. Generally defensive ideas. For white, when you've got the IQP, you've got to realise it's a potential weakness. You're looking to liquidate it maybe by moving it forward at the right moment. You're certainly looking to keep the pieces on, and you're looking to develop an attack. Without an attack, you often find the pawn becomes weaker and weaker and weaker as the game progresses. So you must be looking for the initiative in a position like this when you hold an isolated queen's pawn. I mean, this sort of position occurs with black as well. Black can often get the IQP in many openings as well. So it's exactly the same theme. You're looking to liquidate the pawn or to develop an attack. So to that end, black's next move looks very logical. But what makes this game so special is Spassky's coming idea of pushing the pawn on straight away. Pawn up to d5. releasing the pent-up energy of all the white pieces. Now, I'm pretty sure that Avtonomov thought this move was covered. After all, hasn't he got 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces covering that square? Can't black just snap the pawn off? Well, he can, but he runs straight into Spassky's next move, bishop g5. This makes black's life very awkward, as his knights are really beginning to feel the pressure. Black breaks one pin, but bishop takes f6 is incredibly difficult to meet, as black is forced to take back with the pawn, which is really what he doesn't want to do. If he takes with the bishop, well, there's a knight hanging on d5. The position of the white rook opposite the black queen here is extremely uncomfortable for black. So if Avtonomov takes back with the pawn, and even if he survives the opening here, he's hardly going to have a safe haven for his king. But of course he's not going to survive the opening, as Spassky moves on very energetically by taking on d5 twice, and then playing the killer blow knight to d4. The knight moves into the game decisively. There are entry points into black's camp on both f5 and c6, and this is an impossible position to defend. Black hasn't got any opportunity to get his rooks in the game. He's got to move his king out of the pin. The knight comes in, and white has numerous threats here, the most potent of which is rook takes d5, which really black couldn't stop. So that is a crushing blow. That is the end of the game, really. Black took it. Spassky took on e7, king g8, and then took on f6. You couldn't have a more graphic demonstration of the potential in isolated queen's pawn positions once you are able to push the pawn forward. But let's go back to this critical situation after knight b4. Well, of course, Spassky's able to find d5 because he understands that his king is safe. Black's king is not safe in the centre. It was Steinitz, I think, who formulated the rule that you get to a certain position in the game where it can't get any better, then you have to take action. With an advantage in development, you must take action. And this is the moment. So d5 I don't think is too difficult to find, but it is very thematic and very instructive for us. That's what can happen in an IQP position if you time the defence wrongly.